This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring trial consultant and body language expert Susan Constantine.
The amount of power that it seemed that Dr. Smith seemed to be able to yield in this without any sort of oversight or any sort of checks and balances is extremely disturbing. And then it starts to make you wonder, okay, who else has she done this to? And where else is this happening? Where are the other Dr. Smiths and such at other medical facilities? Because we're talking just specifically this one Johns Hopkins Children's Hospital here. And it'd be one that you would think would be not having problems like this.
Okay, so I'm going to enlighten you to something that's going to blow your mind.
Go for it.
And I'm going to tell you something on your show that I'm going to tell you that's been working on for almost over 10 years. Okay. So there is a root to all of this. Okay. There is actually here in Orlando, a psychological firm who wrote a book on Munchausen's by proxy disorder. So now it's interesting that in this area that we have a massive influx of women being diagnosed with Munchausen's by proxy disorder.
Which is a very rare condition.
It is, well, first of all, it's like almost only hardly unheard of.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
These are not moms that are making their kids sick. These are moms that are trying to help their kids get well.
Yeah.
So it's the complete opposite. But here is the person that wrote this book that literally removed the children from my dear friend of 40 years out of her own. And I've known her, and I would tell you, I can read people pretty doggone well, right?
Yeah.
This is what I do.
Of course,
for
yes.
And there is no signs of Munchausen's by proxy disorder. But what we're finding is, and in this particular firm, and I'm really hoping that this Maya trial is going to create some awareness and open up, because this person has been scrutinized several times. In fact, my friend, they got a phone call from Good Morning America after this thing broke and said, hey, oh my God, let's go back and let's talk about Kelly's case, which is, her name is Kelly. And she says, hey, what's going on with Dr. And I'm not going to say, okay, because this person is linked to multiple diagnoses of Munchausen's by proxy disorder. Now they're calling them Dr. XYZ moms. So there are multiple moms that have lost custody because she's the forensic psychologist. She is the court's darling. She has relationship with all the judges. And guess what? She's like one of the major heads in the Department of Children and Families. So now here it goes into what Susan does for a living. And that is, if you're a predator and you want to be deceptive, what are you going to do? You're going to make friends with all the people and organizations that won't ever question you. Right? So that's what's happening here.
What's the motive, though? I mean, just to like ruin people's lives? I mean,
I'm going to tell you what the motive is.
Yeah.
That a lot of these are being done not in Maya's case, but in child custody cases. So when you've got a husband and wife who is going through a divorce, the courts say you have to go through, marital you have to go through counseling for if you're going to be co-parenting, et cetera.
Sure.
Whoever it is that has the biggest, widest pockets, and generally it's the men, the fathers of the family, are now, they know that one area that you can gain custody of those children is a diagnosis of Munchausen's by proxy disorder, because that removes the children away from the other parent permanently.
Wow.
So that is what it is. And this firm is charging masses amount of money that they are forced to have to pay to go through these evaluations. And I've seen this over and over again. And in fact, this coming week, there is going to be an entire row of the Dr. So-and-so's moms that have lost custody, very similar to Maya's case. And this is happening at an alarming rate. And it needs to stop. And, I'm part of this. We're going to bring awareness to this, and we're going to speak loud and clear. And we're going to get this to get this thing to stop. This is horrible.
Well, it's such an overstep, and it with no judge, no jury. I mean, how is it that one can just wield that sort of power like they have here? I know another one of the cases that Ms. Smith was a part of, the father went to jail for almost 300 days before the charges were dropped. Just the fact that one person can make that sort of assumption after meeting a family who's bringing their child in for medical care, and within 30 minutes, the world can change for them. It's mind-boggling. Is this something where overall there needs to be reform in the entire system? I understand why you'd have these sort of safeguards there to truly protect children who are being abused. In a lot of cases.
And also, too, what's happening is these groups are forming what they call a collaborative law. So they have control, and they have become forensic psychologists and arbitrators for custody battles. And you know what they do? They're all sleeping in bed together. They are all, and if one tumbles, you have to understand what's happening here. If one tumbles and is being brought to light what they're doing, you realize the entire empire drops.
Yeah.
Now you understand why they have to stick close together, and why they have to, because even when it comes down to the judicial system, the judges are appointing them. So if they now if they're exposed, who else? Now you've got the whole entire judicial system in these pocketed areas. So this is a real big problem. And it's not just with Munchausen by proxy disorder. They're falsely diagnosed. They're removing children from one parent who where maybe there is no sexual abuse. And then what do? They put them right in the hands of the abuser. And early on in my career, I became a court watcher, which was for a victim advocate during court injunctions. And Laura, a gal who started Court Watch here in Orlando, the reason why she started it was because of the very same thing. Her husband was abusive. She was concerned about his abuse. And then she went to the courts, asked the courts for a permanent injunction. The courts denied it, allowed the father to have custody or to see the child. She didn't want because she knew he was abusive, gave him rights to see that child, right? And then what does he do? He kills the child and him. Now, this is a personal friend of mine, okay, that I've gotten to know. So these are not just cases I'm just talking about because I'm on court TV. These are cases I know personally. And there is a real problem with how the entire system works. And the problem is also these Department of Children and Families workers, they don't have the proper training. And you know why I know that? It's because I've trained them. And I've gone in there and I've seen a bunch of sleepers sitting in that classroom. They don't have the funding to have the expertise of someone to really, truly read and how to detect whether a person's conning you or they're lying to you or they're being deceptive, and how they're able to hide their abusive nature. They don't have that training. They don't have it available to them. So you have these people that are almost poverty level employees going out and assessing these families with really limited expertise and making very big decisions that are impacting these children and the families involved, and ripping these families apart and putting them in danger and estrangement.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.